Alright, I know I'm out of the shower, I'm still all wet and all that stuff, and there's a joke in there, but hey, you know, it's been a while I didn't talk to you, it's been at least a good week, so I thought I should just jump back in and give you a little bit of an update on what I've been reviewing and playing with. AMD, again. So, last year they kicked Intel's croissant up to the moon with their Ryzen and Zen architecture processors, and right after that they went for Nvidia's croissant as well, and boy did it work. And what's left? What is left to take? Well, how about a product would do exactly the same all over again to both Intel and Nvidia? And so today we are reviewing the Ryzen 5 2400G CPU/APU processor, the latest Zen architecture release from AMD. But it is not only a Zen architecture CPU, as you might think. No, and my shirt is really annoying me right now. No, it is also coupled with a RX Vega GPU integrated right in there. So yeah, I think AMD kind of hit the spot with their latest G processors. Did it go through? Nobody got that one, did they? Okay, so I already said quite a lot before the intro, so I'm not gonna repeat myself, but I think that in the current scenery of GPU starvation in the market, it was quite clear to everybody, all the manufacturers, that the GPU market is far from being saturated, and it's exactly the opposite. Crypto miners have bought every single gaming video cards out there, and it's simply impossible to find any of them to a normal price. You have to pay double, triple or quadruple the price to get a good Vega 64 or even a 1070 or 1080 or even a 1060 to that matter. So AMD, I think, went through some kind of a lighting moment. They realized that there was a lot of demand for graphics, but cheap graphics. They needed to provide something would be not prone to mining, to crypto mining, and something who could be easily deployed and affordable enough to take the advantage in this huge vacuum right now in the market. And so they released a processor which could also act as a video card, as a GPU. And you know, Intel has been trying to do this for quite some time, but every single time it was a deception. It sucks. So the question is, what does a new AMD G lineup of processors have that Intel does not? Well, the RX Vega architecture. Both the Ryzen 3 2200G and Ryzen 5 2400G processors are equipped with RX Vega. The only difference is that one has a little bit more core count than the other. 8 of them for the Ryzen 3 2200G, and you'll have 11 of them on the Ryzen 5 2400G. So many numbers, so many names to remember. It is hell. I am dying inside. So let's take a closer look to the Ryzen 5 2400G, the one I have under my hand and the one I've been testing. One thing I have to start with, it is not really a Ryzen 5. If you take the previous generation, the Ryzen 5 1600, you'll see that it came with, if I'm not mistaken, 6 physical core, 12 threads, and about 19 megabyte of L2 and L3 cache. Very, very respectable processor. You look at the Ryzen 5 2400G, you will see that there is only 4 physical core for 8 threads and about 6 megabyte of L2 and L3 cache. The base clock though is a little bit higher. We're going from 3.2 on the 1600 Ryzen 5 to 3.6 with a boost of 3.9 gigahertz, and that's pretty cool. But of course, core counts is king in this game, and we are going to find ourselves with a slower processor. CPU wise and all said and done, the Ryzen 5 2400G is nothing else but a overclocked Ryzen 3. So what's the big deal? Well, next to this Ryzen 3 processor, what AMD has done is pushed in and cramped in 11 cores of RX Vega 64 yumminess. And you know, I'll say this, the RX 64 architecture is probably the best one out there right now. So I've tested the thing. Results? Yeah, it's pretty spectacular. I just finished testing Fallout 4 on it, and for anybody who's been playing Fallout 4, it's kind of a tricky game because you evolve in such a big universe. Your video card is put to the test, so I really wanted to see if the new APU could really handle it. The Ryzen 5 2400G gave us 30 to 40 frames per second. That's about a GeForce GTX 1030. It's not something that Intel can do right now. One thing to note, your RAM will play a major role in the performance of your game. Because the RX 64 architecture in your processor does not come with any dedicated memory, of course it will go directly into your DDR4 RAM, and it is really important to get as high performing DDR4 RAM as you can get. And that is a hint that AMD has given us when you look at their specification of the new processor specification. Everything going on Ryzen 3 57 previous generation could run DDR4 up to 2.6 GHz, something around there. The latest Ryzen 3 and Ryzen 5 G series can run up to 2933 MHz, and that will have a direct impact in the frame rate, in the shading, and the quality of your gaming. Now, what about mining? Of course I had to try it. So I took my computer with my Ryzen 5 2400G and 8 GB of DDR4 RAM. And I tried Claymore, I tried different kind of AMD compatible miners for Zcash and Ethereum, and of course nothing worked. Well, Zcash, the Claymore for Zcash actually did work. It did start and it did detect the video card, but it gave me 000 sol at every cycle, so it doesn't work and it's a waste of time. And something tells me that AMD made sure that it wouldn't work, that they kind of changed the whole driver architecture to make sure that the miners would not go and find their way to the GPU heart, to the Vega heart of the processor, and not again try to spike up the prices and defeat the whole CPU plus APU purpose. So well done to AMD for that, and that's really something that's going to protect the gaming market a little bit, and that's what we did need indeed, and that something again that Intel and Nvidia absolutely miserably failed at. And if you are going to go for the CPU, you're gonna have to either update the BIOS of your motherboard and make sure you have the latest version out there, or if you're gonna buy a new motherboard, make sure to tell the seller to give you an updated one. In both cases, if you're not doing this, it's not gonna work. Next step, once you have everything going and running in your brand new shiny system, make sure to install the Radeon drivers. Without it, your video card will not work. Well, I said video card. Your APU will not be recognized, and you're gonna find yourself with like robot dance on any kind of video games, and that also sucks. And that's where I'm not happy with AMD. They released this really cool product which is going to make a killing out there, there's no doubt about it, but there's so little information about it. They just say, hey, it's compatible with your Ryzen motherboard, which is great, but they just don't tell you that you have to update your BIOS. So you have a lot of people who went out there on first day of delivery, got their processor, went back home, just swapped the processors and find themselves with a failed CPU message. And it's not cool. They should really go in amont of that a little bit in advance, a few days before on the websites. Be careful guys, update your BIOS before trying to put this on. That's not very complex, AMD. Really, next time, a little bit more care for us, please. In conclusion, let me start with the price. It will run you about $170, $70 and up, depending where you're buying it. And you know, I can come with a bunch of critics, and a lot of people can, but for that price point, giving you a real processor with a real video card, most importantly a real video card, this is nothing short from revolutionary. I'll say this, I really believe so. I think that AMD just opened the Pandora box on a lot of stuff. You know, AMD is in a unique position. They both produce awesome processors and awesome video cards. So it really made sense, and it was easy enough for them to put them and to merge them together in one single product. That's something Intel could never do. They did produce some kind of graphic cards in the past, but they all are terrible. And unless Intel goes to Nvidia and try to find themselves into an agreement, which I really and strongly doubt, we're not gonna find something equivalent either on NVIDIA or Intel side if you don't have the money to buy a $500 or $1,000 video card. If you're looking for a budget build who's gonna do both some modest process tasks but also provide you a good video game experience, this is the only option you have. In effect, you can build yourself a $500 system which can play some 2016 and even 2017 games, and not only in minimum settings. Yeah, so for those reasons, I have selected the Ryzen 5 or possibly the Ryzen 7 if it is released in the next few weeks for my next build, the one coming after Coffee Lake. I know that I'm still publishing the Threadripper video build, and you'll see those coming in the next few days and weeks, and after that I have the Coffee Lake, but I am scheduling a Ryzen 7, and I hope AMD will release it, a Ryzen 7 G series for my 9th build, I think, and that's gonna be very cool, so stay tuned for that. And I think that's it for this.